Free Syrian Army are attacking Syrian Democratic Forces for the
الله أكبر الله أكبر تم أسر واحد من الخنازير الإكراد.
Alright guys, welcome back. Today's video we'll be looking at the second day of the invasion of Rojava as Kurdish forces defend against the Turkish-backed jihadists and the Turkish warplanes and all that. Today is actually the first day that we see ground movement of Turkish forces moving into Rojava, and we're seeing a lot of casualties on both sides. It's a big day. It's probably one of the biggest days that we're going to see in this entire invasion, so let's get into it. If you haven't looked at my two other videos before this, make sure to give that a watch. It's very informative, and myself as a YPG veteran, I've got a lot of insight into this sort of thing, and you guys seem to appreciate it. Let's get into it. We're going to start where we did yesterday in the area of Tal Rafat, well clear of the eastern Euphrates area, and it is still not being attacked. There's just the artillery exchanges, just like we saw throughout the last year. There's really nothing much happening. If we see actually in the western part of this area, we see it says heavy clashes, but again, this is nothing out of the ordinary. Tal Rafat will be standing for probably months to come. It's been withstanding Turkish invasion for the last year and a half, as we all know from the Afrin campaign. If we move a little bit more to the east, but still west of the Euphrates River, we see the city and area of Manbij. This is a massive city. Like I said yesterday, I was there one time, and it's beautiful. It's mostly Arab, so they don't really support the YPG. They more support anybody who comes through there. Probably the Syrian regime is who they'd side with most. And what we're seeing here is nothing much. This is surprising. I thought that we would see a lot more action in this time of the war, 2 days in, but we aren't even seeing artillery bombardments. So just some clashes, but again, this is nothing out of the ordinary for the last year and a half. Manbij is standing. And I want to sort of get through these cities fast because more east of the Euphrates River, that's where we're going to see some more action. Just north of Manbij, but also east of the Euphrates River, so on the other side, we see the city of Drobulis, and it's just the same stuff as yesterday. Artillery exchanges, no ground movement. If we move a little bit more to the east, we will go to the city of Kobani, probably just about 20 or 30 kilometers away from Drobulis. Kobani is a very Kurdish city, like I said yesterday, and just some more bombardments, but no ground activity. I would have expected some more ground activity. Another interesting thing, the Kurdish Red Crescent, also called Hevesor, I recommend, if you have any donation dollars, give it to them. They need it more than ever right now. They're the Red Crescent. They go where the war zones are and they help the civilians. And the pictures they are posting are horrific. And I recommend taking a look at their Instagram page or whatever. I had a friend who was in Hevesor. Nothing but the most respect for them. So Kobani is surviving. That's where the headquarters of Hevesor are. That's why I mentioned it. And Kobani will live to see another day. We have the city right next to it, again, about 30 kilometers away from it, called Gerespi. And that obviously is taking a lot of flack. We see the first ground movement of this entire invasion. And if you guys can see, the city itself is not being invaded right now, but the outskirts are. When I was in the Marine Corps, we learned about city offensives and the tactics of taking a city. And one of the most basic things is you want to isolate the city. You want to completely surround it. Obviously, north of that city is Turkish-held areas, but south of that city is the only area that still is an entrance for SDF reinforcements and SDF supplies. It's looking like they're doing a pincer attack and they want to completely encase this city and then move in. That way the YPG fighters are fighting back to back. And yeah, we're going to see, right now though, the Turkish forces are going a little too fast as we see 22 fighters have been killed on the Turkish side. And also 3 vehicles, which I would assume are probably some light armored vehicles. They're actually pretty heavy and they're mine resistant and such. So 3 of those vehicles are destroyed, 22 fighters are killed, but I would assume probably much more than that. This is just what's being reported, and what I can see is somebody not in Syria right now. And also, a lot of the comments think that I'm in Syria right now. I am absolutely not in Syria. I got back 3 months ago, but there are a lot of internationals over there giving it their all, and we need to support them as much as possible. Spread the news, what is happening there. You know, my brothers and sisters are out there, and I know they're going to fight, and it's going to be amazing to see how much the Turks suffered because of this invasion. This is not going to be an easy fight, and this is not a steamroll. But as we look at Gillespie, we actually see some the fire symbols. And what is that? I explained it yesterday. The YPG has been fighting the ISIS insurgency and the ISIS frontline caliphate for 7 years now. They've learned all their tactics, and this is what they're using against the Turks. And the Turks, I guess, forgot about this. They are lighting tires on fire, blocking all visual from the sky. And right now it is currently 8:43 p.m. in Syria, so it's nighttime. So even though the UAVs and the warplanes can see anything on the ground with thermal images, it's going to be difficult to see what exactly is underneath there with all the smoke covering the area. So I would assume that they are probably lighting tires on fire, giant bundles of them as we speak. This is one of the biggest tactics that they learned from the ISIS campaign, and it is working in Gillespie, as they have not been invaded just yet. It is just the outskirts. And also, there's a little bit of a news above this area in the Turkish province of Mardin. 21 Kurds were arrested for creating Turkish or terror propaganda. So, as we all know, Turkey is in NATO. I don't know why. They are censoring their own people. They don't allow them to protest or believe in anything other than what the Turkish army is doing. And it's kind of weird. I don't know why they keep arresting their own people. It's just going to create more hatred and good sentiment towards the PKK. So, hey, their move. As we look south of Gillespie, though, we see Turkish warplanes, but that is actually from 24 hours ago. There's not been any bombings close to Raqqa anymore. I guess they just saw some opportunistic, easy targets right on from the air campaign, and that's what they took. But as of right now, they are not doing many bombing runs south of there. I'm curious to know if they will be moving south towards Raqqa and then going west. That was my prediction earlier, but this is very hectic right now. I guess it could be anything. It's all up in there. As we move more east, though, away from Gillespie, which was the biggest fighting so far, we look at Serikani, which is a very Kurdish city, and we are seeing the same tactic, but just a little bit slower. We see some bombardments, and again, there's a lot of civilians there. But we see a lot of bombardments. We see Kurdish resistance as they fight and actually try and shoot down recon planes. We also see tow missiles. Tow missiles are very effective against even the Turkish tanks. It's one of the newer German tanks, and they are being destroyed by tow missiles. If you guys ever saw any of the videos from Afrin, you know what I'm talking about. The tow missiles, they can reach out for kilometers, are extremely accurate to the foot. To the meter. So this is very interesting to see as Turkish tanks are trying to push through. They're being taken out by Kurdish forces. So I don't think they saw that coming. I don't think they fully understood that we have tow missiles and we are willing to use them, especially now. As we move a little bit south of Serikani, we see that the Turks are bombing the power supplies. It says a power supply for a water station, so I guess both of them you could say. They're trying to just cut off all supplies and make it very difficult for the SDF to just maintain a long war. So they will not be able to get this grid back up and working during this war. So that is a big move by the Turks. If we look a little bit over to the east now, trying to get to Kamishlo, they're bombing just small villages here and there, and people are being displaced, people are being killed, civilians and YPG. But a lot of the civilians, if we saw, one of my friends on Instagram, he actually sent me a video of civilians taking up arms. They are doing it willingly, and yeah, it's really going down. This is an invasion of the people. It's not just the YPG. The people like the YPG here, and it's just weird. Also, like we're not terrorists. When I was there, the people loved us. It was safe. ISIS was being treated with respect. Even though they had just killed 11,000 YPG fighters throughout this war. They were being treated with respect in the camps, and the families were being treated with respect, but we're terrorists, and I don't get that at all. It was a complete democracy. It was a complete democracy, and I don't know what is going on with Turkey saying that they're terrorists. I just don't buy it. But that's my personal opinion. Like I said yesterday, I'm biased. I'm a YPG fighter, so it's you know how that goes. But yes, the city of Kamishlo, no movement. Very interesting. We have a couple news things from Kamishlo though. So first of all, no ground movement, just bombardments. Also, another video that a guy from Instagram gave me is from Kamishlo, and go take a look.
I'm in Kamishli city right now. The people start to use the basements. The road is closed because of the destruction. This car cannot cross the road. The people just start to use the basements, and we can see there are still families here. They don't want to leave their city. They grow up here and they want to die here.
The civilians are now hiding in their basements, waiting for the war to come over, and that's going to be horrific in the days to come. I would imagine once Gillespie is taken, they will now move to a different city like Kamishlo or Kobani to take. As we know, some of the Syrian regime is in Kamishlo. An update with the alliance that the YPG is now looking to the Syrian regime for. The Syrians, the regime side is saying we are not looking for an alliance right now. So I think they're waiting to go and see if this is just going to be a steamroll or if a front line occurs. If a front line occurs, just like in what happened in Afrin, I would assume then they would send in reinforcements. I hope that they can get some sort of alliance. Even though we don't like Assad, we're going to have to live with him. The international community was not able to take him out of power, and we're going to have to live with him, and the Kurds know that. And they might as well start alliances right now, but it's looking like they don't really want it. If we move more to the east, though, we see a lot of bombing campaigns just in the little villages going towards the last major city in northeast Rojava, which is Derek. We just have a lot of bombings leading up to it. And as we get to Derek, we see a lot of fighting, a lot of fighting. And there's no movement on the ground towards Rojava. There's movement towards Turkey. This is where I was interested in yesterday, and we're seeing actually some skirmishes that are going north into Turkish territory. So they are trying to push across the border, get into those mountains. A famous Kurdish saying is, the only friends of the Kurds are the mountains. And this is certainly true as they try and break it for the mountains and get that supply chain with the PKK up. But the Turks are not having it. They are bombing as much as they can. And the reason that you don't see any movement towards Derek is because the Free Syrian Army, which is the Turks' proxy army, they aren't anywhere near Derek. It is on the other side. They're not going to be able to push into Derek, and the YPG knows this. So they are pushing into Turkish territory. I wonder how deep they will go. I wonder if they will go at all. As we know, this is all up in the air. This is just my opinion. But that is where we are left today. The ISIS sleeper cells, one of them was actually caught in Sarakania, and that was early on today. So I'm kind of worried about the sleeper cells already. They're already awaking, even in Kurdish, very Kurdish majority cities, and it's sad to see. And I can't imagine what the very southern tip of YPG-held Syria is like right now. Deir ez-Zor, as we all know, that is where ISIS's last stand was, and all the reinforcements have moved north. So ISIS is probably refortifying their positions, and we will see ISIS resurgence in the south, probably stemming from the south, and then also Raqqa. And that is going to be in the months to come, but that is my prediction. Guys, I hope you learned something today. As we all know, this is just happening, and I will be continuing this series as the invasion happens. But if you thought this video was informative, make sure to share it to your friends. Subscribe if you haven't already. Join the 3,500 of us looking at the Rojava War more in depth. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like. If you didn't, a dislike is fine as well. And take it easy. Peace.